Hey kids, welcome back to Rob's Red Hotspots, and welcome to a game that I have not played online anyway for quite some time, but I have played. I've been playing this game over the last few years. This is Songs of Six, which is a sort of indie city builder, kind of 4X. It's got some 4X aspects. It's got a bit of a total war mechanics going on. There's a lot of stuff going on in this game, and it's got a really cool kind of fantasy setting, and just sort of excellent city simulation mechanics as well. So there's a new version out. It is called where does it say? It doesn't say here. I don't know, Riders of Doom, I think it's called. Yeah. And it is focused primarily on the combats, but there's also you know, other little refinements that have been made in the game. I don't know. I don't tend to focus a lot on the combat in this game, but maybe we will be able to test that out. We are going to start a new city. There are a few different options here. There's a quick battle option. I'll take a quick look at the quick battle option because this is totally new, where you can sort of simulate a player and enemy. Okay, so I see. Yeah, so here we can like simulate a battle. I'm kind of tempted to not do this right now, but I guess I'll just load one up. I'm not going to monkey around with this too much because it does seem like if I want to add some, I don't know, some. Okay, so it does seem like it's kind of a little bit micro intensive to add all these generations, and I guess we pick a location here. Maybe we can do like a river battle. Can we do a river battle? I think this is the main purpose of this, is to sort of test the battle simulation. I'll spawn one quickly. I didn't really monkey with the settings. I'm just kind of curious to see how this works. What is this? Time of day. Oh, interesting. You can make it night. Okay, let's go day because it'll be easier to see. Doesn't look like we can do like a river crossing battle, although maybe on this small stream here. I'm probably not going to play this out because I just want to sort of take a look at how this feature works. But it does look kind of interesting. It looks like could be, yeah. So I didn't actually plan a very good army here because they've got about twice as much as we do. But yeah, you can then position all your troops, and yeah, I think it's probably a good way to maybe test out different army compositions. When you're actually playing in the city builder, you could potentially test these out and test out different tactics, so that you know, if you're fighting some sort of high stakes battle in the main game, you could potentially come in here and oh shit. Okay, I just quit the game. I didn't want to quit the game. I wanted to exit the battle planner. Okay, well, we learn. Okay, all right. Hang tight. Oh, there we go. We're back. Okay, good. Right, so I tried to exit out of the battle planner thing, and I accidentally quit the game, which is pretty hilarious. But anyway, we're just gonna start a random game because I really do want to get into the city builder thing, and I don't really want to sort of get bogged down in figuring out how that the battle mode works there. But it does look like it could be a useful tool, especially as you get further into the city building experience. There's all sorts of like difficulty settings that have been added over the last couple patches. I'm going to leave everything on normal, but this kind of allows you to customize the game and make it what you want. And you know, most of these things involve like increasing various costs. And making various aspects of the game, you know, more or less difficult. And it's kind of cool. Anyway, and then there's some sort of presets here that are like, I don't know what is Despot. Despot is just like super hard everything. Oh, you can actually go really hard too. Yeah, so there's Despot. Sandbox is, I guess, easy. Warrior looks like it makes like the sort of admin aspects of the game easier. It looks like, yeah, government points. So this is going to make conquest easier, but it's going to make the actual combat harder. So that's kind of an interesting game. Way to play the game anyway. And then it looks like, yeah, the trader one seems to make some of the diplomatic stuff easier so that you can focus on trade. It looks like deflation. Okay. Decreases the inflation of your treasure. Yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, and then homestead. Homestead seems to be focused on building a self-sufficient city. Interesting. So it makes the neighboring factions less aggressive, but it also seems to make it harder for you to gain opinion with them. These are interesting settings. I'm a little bit skeptical. I think that they're going to lead to a bit of a weird gameplay loop, and I kind of like to play with normal settings. So we'll just go with normal all the way, but it is kind of interesting to see that you can fine-tune the game. I think what might be interesting is essentially making the game more difficult once you have sort of mastered it, although it is a very difficult game to master. So I don't see myself playing on harder difficulties anytime soon. I tend to always go with humans, I guess just from a roleplay perspective, but also they've got probably the most balanced bonuses and disadvantages. Like they're kind of jack of all trades, master of few, let's say, and I'm a little bit reluctant to play as the other races, especially when I'm testing a new version, because I kind of want to have a little bit of a neutral start in that sense, but we might actually get some of the other races in our city at some point, and so we'll see how that goes. Tilapia are really fun if you want to do like a super aggressive military game, because they get a lot of resources that make making weapons a lot easier early on. Where they're proficient at producing those a lot of weapons and stuff. I think Amevians as well. Probably a pretty good race for sort of a more aggressive gameplay. The Garthemi are kind of like your Zerg. It's sort of quantity over quality with the Garthemi. And then we've got our Dondorians, who are kind of our specialists, builders and stuff. And we've got our sort of peace-loving Cretonians. Humans are kind of in between all that, though. So I'm going to stick with humans, and we'll see if we end up inviting other races into the game. I'm not going to customize any of this stuff, but if I do end up making some kind of series out of this city, maybe I will invite someone to... you can change this later, so maybe I'll invite someone to... suggest a city name or something. These are titles that you can pick. These are sort of like achievements. As you unlock them, you can get these bonuses when you start. I've never really been into these, honestly. I kind of always like to start from scratch, and having these bonuses from the start seems like a little lopsided, but they're kind of cool. I'm just going to go without any titles. We're going to create a totally normal random map here. Now, you can edit the terrain on the world map if you want to sort of create the ideal starting spot, but it's not necessary to do so. There are certain, if you're looking for certain combinations of resources and stuff, it can be useful to like if we wanted to build like on a river by the sea near a mountain, like maybe we would add a river tile in here to sort of give us the perfect spot that we want. But since we're playing as humans, I think we'll just we won't do any editing here. We're just going to stick with what the sort of region map gives us. We're going to look for places that are not isolated. So as we hover the map over here, the little pop-up tells us if there's any sort of notable disadvantages. Like this location is isolated, you'll have few of your own species nearby. So I'm just going to try and like find a spot where the UI doesn't tell the UI doesn't necessarily indicate that there's anything wrong. I am not super clear on the way to min-max this in the current version of the game, so I'm not going to try and min-max it. I'm just going to see how it goes. I do like the idea of having rivers on multiple sides, because they're sort of defensive. I kind of like the idea of sort of trying to create a more defensive oriented city before we think about any kind of expansion. Maybe try and sort of withstand a siege and stuff like that. I've got some ideas about that. When we build near our river, we have access to clay. Clay is really good, really important for research. This is not a bad little spot. We've got fairly little coal, iron, and gems or iron. What is it called? Is it iron? Is that what they're calling it? Yeah, I think it's iron ore. Yeah. This is not a bad mix of resources, though. In a certain sense, it would be nice to have more iron, but we'd have to go up. We'd have to sort of go up to a mountain tile to get more iron, and maybe we trade for iron. Actually, up here, there's no forest though. And I think we're going to find that having a little bit more wood is maybe going to be useful. It says forest 3.7%. That's going to be a little bit rough. I could deal with like 10% forest. But I don't think I think 3.7 is a little bit of a stretch. The tiles up here do seem a little bit better. What's the moisture down here? Yeah, this is probably more forest than we need and less mineral resources than we would like. Actually, up here is, it's got this little stupid stream thing over here. Maybe what about up here? Yeah, as we get closer to the mountains, it seems like we have better mineral resources. Just a little bit more would be helpful, just for the early game before we can really get a trade-based sort of empire going. And then, yeah, forest 3.7. I'm just trying to see if we can do a little bit better than that. It looks like the forested areas have less mining opportunities than just the sort of plains. Yeah, almost definitely. As soon as I go on this side of the river, there's more mining opportunities. So I don't know that it matters how close we are to the mountains. I think it's more a matter of the places that have a lot of forest tend to have a little bit less resources. This actually looks pretty good. Freshwater 16%, moisture 100%, forests 15%. Of course, we don't need the moisture. We can use irrigation, but irrigation's a little bit finicky, and it's just kind of nice if you're going to do a lot of farming, which at the start of the game anyway, we're going to do a lot of farming. It's just that much easier to have moisture. Now, I just wanted to take a look around the world map and see if there's any other kind of interesting spots. I don't hate that spot though. I don't hate that spot. It's a little bit off to the south of the map. I guess it's not. I guess it's kind of right in the middle. Ish. Yeah, it's actually right in the middle. That's not bad. We don't want to be too far south, and we don't want to be too far north, because we want to be in a temperate climate. This whole area here is sort of a little bit blocked off from the rest of the world map. Could be kind of interesting to create a kingdom that's sort of surrounded by mountains, although it just sort of leads to the edge of the map here. I wish there was a continents map mode that worked a little bit better in this. There is, but the simulation, the map simulation is, I'm not super happy with it. Okay, I think we're going to go with this spot here, with the spot of forest in the middle. And the river, what if I have the river running through? Actually, there's more clay if I have, yeah, if I move like here. Oh, this is 18% forest, yeah. Maybe we'll do a little bit of editing. I just don't like this little stream here. Oh, maybe I do. You know what? Maybe I do. Maybe I'm fine with the little stream. Let's go for it. Okay. I don't really want to belabor this this decision too long. It is pretty impactful, but like it's kind of more interesting to sort of adapt to what you get than it is to sort of endlessly micromanage it. Well, more or less. Could also be interesting to try and create the perfect conditions and sort of min-max everything, but different playstyle. Okay, so we have humans so we have 2 neighbor connections to start. We have humans to our south, and we have Garthemi to our north. Maybe we can bully the Garthemi. And then Freelands over here. Oh, and Crotonians down here. I don't know that it matters particularly, but this is actually kind of neat. We do actually have a mix of all the different races except for Dondorians. Where are the Dondorians at? Where are the Dondorians at? All the way over here. Looks like there's not many Dondorians on this side of the mountains. I don't really understand fully how the region populations work, full disclosure, so I'm not sure how impactful it is to have neighbors of a certain species or whatever. It looks like the Dondorians all kind of live in this. Interesting. I think it's pretty random, actually. Oh yeah, there's this whole little valley area here, too. This is kind of cool. I kind of wish we had settled in this. You know what? Sorry, I just discovered this cool valley. Maybe we can do kind of a... Oh yeah, the whole area is considered isolated. I guess that's bad for trade, but I kind of like the idea of playing in this little valley. And maybe we kind of confine ourselves to this little valley, and... I don't know. I'm just kind of inspired by this this spot here. Could be cool. Could be very cool. So we could have a river on one side and a lake on the other. Or we could have... Oh, the moisture's not as good over there. What's going on here? We've got... yeah, moisture's not quite as good. That's going to be a little trickier for agriculture. And here again, we're having the... it doesn't really look like there's actually that good a spot here. I guess we don't need full moisture. That's not... I really do want a lot of clay. I find that clay is a pretty key resource. And I don't really want to trade for it. I don't tend to like trading for things in general. I like to be pretty autonomous if I can. That's an interesting spot. We've got a lake to our west. Yeah, this is kind of interesting because this is sort of like... Oh, the moisture's really low though. I like the idea of like having higher moisture. Maybe we go for... Okay, this is what we'll do. We'll go for the area that's got a lot of forests. It's got 100% moisture. It's got less clay though. Yeah, but we get this is a really even split of all the resources, to be honest. We might have to trade for some goods, but this way we can maybe do a little bit of all the different types of mining and stuff. Let's do that. It'll give us also some mountain tiles if we want to have some Dondorians live in our city and stuff like that. I think overall that's going to be kind of an interesting way to play. We're not really locking ourselves out of producing anything locally on this map. We've got fresh water. We've got... Okay, we need to respawn. I think the neighbors... That neighbor is a little bit close for comfort. We only have one neighbor connection here, which is also... I don't really understand how prices work in this game, if I'm perfectly honest. There is like a supply and demand system for resources. I'm just gonna see if I can get our neighbors a little bit farther away from us, because I'm a little bit concerned about how close they are to us. So that's not really... Oh, there's two neighbors though. This is two neighbors. They're still quite close. Who are they? Oh, they're Dondorians and humans. Okay, interesting. Okay, that's two neighbors quite close to us. A little cluster. And then we've got... Oh, these guys are one empire. Okay. And these guys... Okay, so the weaker of the two is the Dondorians to our northwest there. And then these guys are kind of a bit of an enclave as well. This empire, it actually continues maybe down here. Yeah, it looks like they've got like... Oh, that's weird. That feels kind of goofy. I think the game thinks there's like a passageway somewhere here, but there like isn't. I'm kind of tempted. Let me regenerate this one more time. One more time. I'm gonna not like the result I get and do it like 6 more times. This is how it goes. It's possible that it's a little bit too cramped in here and that it's just gonna generate weird stuff. No, this looks more reasonable. Okay, we have a neighbor to our south, a neighbor to our north. The neighbor to our north has two... No, that's free lands. So now to get to the free lands, we have to actually conquer these guys. They're Garthemes, and we've got... We're surrounded by Garthemes. Okay, interesting. And then we've got some Cretonians up there. And then more free lands down there, but they're Dondorians. That's interesting. I wonder if we can like diplomatically annex the free lands. It'd be kind of cool to fight the Garthemi and sort of diplo annex these two. I'm not sure. I know you... Basically, I know you can, but... this is a really small little kingdom there. Okay, well, we've got the most fertile land, so I think it'll be interesting to see how this all works. Okay, all right. Please let me know if the music is too loud. I feel like it's probably about right, but it could be too loud. Okay, so our city map kind of reflects what the world map looks like. And we have to choose where to set up our landing party. Now, one of the things that we're kind of looking out for is stuff like this. This is sort of a hassle. These are the mineral resources. These red squares show you where your mineral resources are. And we don't... If we can regenerate this map as many times as we like. In an ideal world, our mineral resources are not like straddling the edge of the map. It's not the end of the world. It's not unplayable, but it's a little bit annoying. On the other hand, the mountains are all like sort of in the southeast corner and up here. Like there's going to be a certain amount of that inevitably, but I think we can do better than like having this stone in the corner. Let's see if we can get a slightly better kind of seed this time around. Okay. Yeah, I like this better. We still have a lot of stuff around the edges, but at least it's kind of consistently all on one side. So the clay is relatively accessible. We've got another clay patch over here. Let's take a look at the fertility map. Or what are they calling it now? Moisture soil is what we need to look at. So we want to see where the good soil is. So there's some really nice soil right here. This is good farming soil. And then there's a ton of it over here. So, and then we've got all of this wood over here. So good soil here, wood in the middle. There's tons of wood on this map. Like we don't really need to be very picky about where we're harvesting wood. Yeah, there's tons of it. Let's take a look at the moisture map. Yeah. Usually the wood tends to coincide with high moisture places, so you don't, like, wherever there's wood, like, visibly on the map is a good place to harvest wood. Yeah, we've got lots of opportunities. I don't even think we need to worry about the wood. I don't think it really matters where we choose to harvest it. We can probably be building over it. Like, we're never going to need anywhere near as much wood as there is on this map. Well, not anytime soon, anyhow. But yeah, I'm kind of thinking maybe we start. Let me take one more quick look at the soil map mode here. Yeah, there's not much. Oh yeah, there's some more fertile soil-ish up here. The moisture's pretty low. Yeah, it's kind of a lot of woodlands. And this map doesn't necessarily have a lot of good agricultural land, but all along the river, we can get, like, here the soil is not going to give us a particularly good bonus, but we can if we must farm there. Let's take a look at. Okay, so we're just going to kind of figure out from the get-go here. Now the stone mine is going to be a hassle. These stone mines on the edge of the map are going to be a bit of a hassle to get to. And they're a little bit cramped by the river, but it's not the end of the world. We're not going to need a stone mine until a little bit later in the game. There's a lot of stone just lying around on the ground that we can grab. 2 gem mines kind of in relatively close proximity. 2 ore mines in relatively close proximity. I don't think we need to mine coal. I think we can use the charcoaler. Yeah, the coal is actually really inaccessible. The resources that are the hardest to get to are the ones that are like deep in a mountain, because you really have to cut through the whole mountain to get to them. Yeah, we've got coal, stone, and Scythalon deep in the mountain. The Scythalon's good. Oh yeah, this Scythalon is sort of terribly placed. But I think with this map, we're just gonna get that a lot. As humans, we don't really need Scythalon. If we decide to start building a sort of Dondorian city up here, maybe we can build a Dondorian city sort of close to the Scythalon or something. That might be the move. I don't think I want to regenerate this a million times. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to, this is a relatively defensible map. I think it'd be cool to build a little sort of walled city surrounding these agricultural lands, or maybe even a walled city. Maybe we farm on the outside of the walls and we build a sort of walled city that's just sort of makes a dense little city in this little pocket here in between the 2 agricultural lands. Maybe that's what we want to do. I'm just going to drop our just take a look at the moisture quickly here. I'm going to drop our, yeah, it's not great here actually, so maybe we build where the moisture is not great. I was hoping to find a place where I could create a pasture. I don't think we need particularly good moisture for a pasture, so let's just drop our settlers right here. Now, I like to kind of micromanage the resources that we start with here. We start with some rations, some stone, some wood, some grain, and some livestock. The livestock is not sort of deployed yet. It's it can be turned into a variety of different animals, but for now it's just miscellaneous livestock. And these resources all degrade at different rates. We can hover over the resources over here on this panel on the right, and we can see, for example, that if we don't store this wood, we're going to lose 10% of it every year if it just sits on the grounds. If we store it, we only lose 5%. And if you look at the livestock, for example, we lose 50% if we don't store it, and if we store it, we lose 25%. So very important to sort of put this stuff to work and not just leave it lying on the ground of our throne room. So the first thing I'm going to do is build a kind of a small warehouse. I'm going to build everything with, there's 4 different building styles. We're going to stick to mud buildings for now, because I don't want to start building with other materials until we sort of have a steady supply of them for you know, construction and stuff like that. Humans do tend to prefer the wood and stone more than the mud buildings. Obviously, they really don't like the mud buildings, but you know, they're going to be they'll be fine with it. It's easy to upgrade the buildings later. So we're just going to build like a small warehouse, something like this. And we just want to have enough crates. That's actually maybe even bigger than we need, but that's fine. I'm going to build it next to the throne room because I just want to save construction time, because everything is kind of time sensitive at the start of the game. And we want to get all this stuff stored as quickly as possible. So I'm just going to speed 4 here. They're going to clear this land, start building those mud walls. And thankfully there's not any, they don't need to cut down any trees or anything to build here. So this all should get done relatively quickly. There we go. They've cleared it. Now they're bringing the wood in to construct it. Okay, and we're going to now we're gonna put everyone at work in the warehouse, just so that they get all this stuff in the warehouse as quickly as possible. So we're gonna start with the livestock. Okay, the livestock's in there. We're gonna go to the rations, and then the grain. We'll just do it all at once now. Everything else doesn't really degrade very quickly. So. Yeah, and they're just going to load all that stuff in there. So all those resources are now stored, and they're going to last us a lot longer. Now that we've stored that stuff, it's pretty important at the start of the game for us to essentially make sure that our citizens are kind of safe from the elements. So we're going to build a hearth, and we're going to build a well. And then we're going to build them a house as well. So let's get, we just need a longhouse. We have 10 citizens right now, which is how many you start with by default. Let's just build a house over here. And we'll just get that built really quickly. So now they're safe from the elements, and we want to start to put these resources to work. I mean, the rations they're just going to eat because it's their only food source. But the livestock, we are going to want to put that to work in a pasture as soon as possible. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to do an Entelodont pasture, because we have 3 choices at the start. Balticrawler pastures are really only Garthemi like working those. We could do a Warbeast pasture. That's for the new cavalry units. But that's we'd be kind of getting ahead of ourselves. This doesn't really produce anything except for you know, like essentially the game, you know, the equivalent of horses in this game. So we don't really need that right now. What we need is food. We will be working on sort of defensive stuff relatively soon, but not right away. So let's go with an Entelodont pasture. I don't really want to use up the best agricultural land. I want to just have high moisture land that is clear so that they can build it relatively quickly. And I think we're going to want to put like 8 workers in this, so I'm just going to resize this until we get to about exactly 8 workers. So we can at least have 2 spare workers to continue kind of building things and harvesting other resources. We need to put some huts so that it's efficient. Something like that is about perfect. And we're going to let them clear that land. It's going to happen very quickly because there's no real wood to clear or anything here. They're going to need some more wood to build the pasture, actually. So let's just... We're going to start clearing some wood. Just grab some wood that's close to the pasture so they're not going too far. They do the jobs depending on how close they are to, like, basically where they live. So, more or less. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to actually clear these jobs. I have a bunch of hotkeys, so if you are new to this game, you may not quite understand what I'm doing in terms of, like, there's a lot of selection tools that are down here that I've hotkeyed, and I'm not going to do a full tutorial of how that works right now, but certainly I welcome any questions. But I've hotkeyed a lot of things over the past couple of years playing this game, just to make things easier. Okay, so we've got 8 people now working in this pasture. I'm actually going to put everyone in the pasture for a second. Oh yeah, it is the first day of autumn. Okay, so we've actually missed our opportunity to harvest resources. So we're going to have to do a little bit of hunting. There's some intelligence over here that we can hunt to get some food. We've only got 1 day of rations left. Let's just get the... Let's get the livestock safe and sound into the pasture here. I think we've got 15 or 14 left, maybe. Okay. Yeah, we are out of food. That's not good. Okay, yeah, all of the livestock is now in the pasture, so we're going to go down to... Where's everyone else? I don't understand what's going on here. Oh, the warehouse. I left them all in the warehouse. Fuck. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna set it to 8, which is the default for this building, and then I'm gonna just set auto employ because yeah, there's room for more animals in this pasture. There's 8 out of 10. Here we go, nice little diagonal wall there. And we are right away going to need to do some hunting to get some food. Hunting's a little bit dangerous. It's possible we can have someone potentially get killed. I'm just gonna hunt like 3 pigs. There we go. And then I'm going to make sure that we have some storage for meat and storage for fur because that's what they produce. And we want to put our dudes back in here and get that into the warehouse. That gives us 5 days of food. They haven't brought the fur yet. Oh no, they brought everything. Okay. Okay, so next up, we are going to want to, I think, build another house. So that we can get some more people living in our city. Because unfortunately, we kind of used up all of our citizens just working this pasture, so... As this pasture fills up, it'll start producing more meat. Right now, the animals are all, they're baby pigs, so they don't really produce very much meat. But as time goes on, this will sort of mature and become a productive source of food, and also it will allow us to continue to produce a slow trickle of additional livestock. So we can sort of build our herd over time. And you know, it's good to get one of these right at the start of the game, just in order to make sure that you can sort of get a little herd rolling. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna want to do probably is to, we're coming into the winter now. I don't really want to be living off of meat if I can avoid it. So we will have to do a little bit more hunting after, but for the time being, I think the best thing we can do is probably get to work on building a carpenter. Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing we can do. We can probably use the woods over here. Yeah, this is all kind of ideal land for forestry. We don't want to build the carpenter too close to our city because it makes a lot of noise and humans don't like noise. So let's make a carpenter up here. we're gonna make a relatively large carpenter, I think. Oh, this gets bigger. Okay, we can go to like 12 or whatever. I think 12 is probably fine, actually, for a carpenter. Let's make sure we get our auxiliaries here. I do want to leave a little bit of space. We don't need a lot of storage in the carpenter. Something like that should be good. All right, let's get that built for now. We only got like 2 people working on building that, but by the time the spring rolls around, just got to keep an eye on our food supply. 2 more days of food. Yeah, okay, so at this point we're going to pause the carpenter, and we're going to get them to go do a little bit of hunting so that we can have enough food to get through the rest of the winter. Okay, they've done that. Did anybody die? Nobody died. Okay, yeah, we've got 8 more days of food. That's more than enough. Great. Let's finish this carpenter. We're gonna have a shortage of wood. So I'm gonna cut down some trees. And we're probably gonna make some more warehouses too. I like to build a lot of different warehouses and store different things in them. It's a little bit easier from a sort of quality of life kind of perspective. We are coming up to day 3 of summer. There's a big mushroom patch over here I would like to pick. So to forage that, we need to wait until... wait until late summer, which I believe is day 3 of summer. So that's the following day. So at the end of this day, we're going to cancel the rest of these wood cutting jobs and suspend this job there. And that means that they're going to totally prioritize, there we go. They're going to totally prioritize picking those mushrooms. We should also get a couple of boxes here to store the mushrooms. Mushrooms go bad relatively quickly, not too quickly. They last, what's their 12.5% spoil rate every year. So it's not really going to be a particularly good food source just because it's going to spoil a lot, but it's going to help us in the early days before we get... Did I even... Oh yeah, I should get some more citizens. We've got more than enough food now to have like 20 citizens easily. We could even go up to 30 if we wanted to. Now we can get a lot of people working at once. Okay. We got all of the resources necessary to build the carpenter. I'm going to just shut that carpenter down for a second here. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to build a warehouse that's kind of specifically for this carpenter. Maybe something like that. We'll put a door on the side here so that they can actually access the carpenter. And then we'll put another door down there. Just going to kind of set things up. And then that way what we can do is we can just get one person working in here for now. And we're going to store a lot of lumber here. And the rest we're going to put into furniture. And we're going to kind of want to reverse this over time. The furniture actually has only 1% decay rate, whereas the wood has a 5% decay rate. So typically what we might want to be doing here is like harvesting a bunch of lumber and then putting a lot of people at work in the carpenter to sort of turn all that lumber into into carpentry. So maybe what we'll do actually is we'll just put any wood that we have. I'm going to empty the wood out of this warehouse here, and any wood that we have lying around the ground. I've just got a bunch of workers in this. All right, it's just going to get piled into here. Looks like that's all of it. Maybe I will cut down a little bit more wood. Kind of spend the winter. We'll have our guys sort of spend the winter getting furniture ready and doing construction. We still have 17 days of food. Get all that wood stored in here. Okay, so that's like 500 wood. We can take everyone out of there and put them all in the carpenter. Just want to keep an eye on the season because we are going to want to do some more harvesting. Oh, the other thing we need to do is build a janitor. So let's put a janitor. The janitor is going to make sure the buildings don't fall apart, because when the buildings start falling apart, they're going to start to not fulfill their functions anymore, and that can lead to kind of a death spiral. So we'll get this janitor going, and then we're also going to do all this carpentry. You have 17 days of food left. Yeah, I still have this job selected, so they will automatically harvest those mushrooms for now. It's going to be kind of our main food source for the time being. So we have 1 janitor, 10 carpenters. I think we're going to get some more citizens. Let me look at the noise map mode here. Okay, I can build another house over here. Okay. Man, we're going to go up to 30 people, I believe. And try and fill up this carpenter and really get that wood turned into carpentry as quickly as possible. And get kind of a big stockpile of carpentry. Okay, day 2 of summer, and then we'll do the mushroom harvesting again. Here we go. Can actually maybe increase the amount of mushroom storage we have here. Just really pack this full of mushrooms. Okay. So now we have lots of food. And everyone can go back to work in the carpenter, and we have 10 extra people. So the question is, what do we want to do next? Probably we want to get some I'd like to get like a grain farm going. Where is the nearest grain supply? Okay, there's some grain down here. And we're going to create a gigantic warehouse, and we're going to stockpile huge amounts of grain, and then we're going to build a bakery, and we're not going to put a lot of workers in the bakery. We're only going to meet like our basic demand for food with bread. And we're also going to want to get a ration maker going. So I think we're going to cancel this mushroom harvesting job for now. We should be able to get a lot of that going. Actually, there's still a little bit of time in this harvest season, so maybe I can go and grab some herbs up here. Maybe I'll have time to go grab these herbs. Yeah, 10 people. Turn off the carpenter for a second, just so I get the maximum number of people. And we're going to bring these herbs down here. And what's the degrade rate on those? 10%. Yeah, so we shouldn't really be keeping a lot of herbs around, but we'll go get those quickly. If we can get them before the harvesting season, yeah, they're going to be able to do that. There we go. Okay, looks like everything got harvested. Yeah, okay. And then we'll just put everybody in here so that they fill up the warehouse with herbs. There we go, 96. Is that all of them? Yeah. Okay. So we have some herbs. My idea with the herbs is we're not humans actually like eating excuse me. Humans actually like eating meat and mushrooms and bread, so we actually have all of the food sources that they like. The problem is that we don't really have kind of the storage technology to make it viable to be feeding our guys with meat and mushrooms, because they degrade pretty quickly. The mushrooms are 12.5%. It's not bad. The bread is actually, the bread degrades faster, but the best thing for us to do here, the meat degrades, I think, fastest of all. Oh, interesting. Meat decays slower than bread? That seems wrong. Interesting. Well, the point is we're going to be turning any excess food that we have into rations, so that we keep a stockpile of rations in case there's like, we're going to kind of make our city starvation proof here. That's the idea. So step one is going to be to, we're going to plant a grain farm. For maybe 5 workers. I'm looking for the good soil near the river so we get like good irrigation. There we go, 5 workers, that's perfect. And we're gonna build, we're gonna get that farm planted. We do have a little bit of grain left over from our starting grain. That's fine, yeah. Okay, that's 5 workers who are gonna permanently work on this farm. And we're going to build for them a fairly large warehouse. I think what I'll do is I'll build the warehouse, like the soil I think kind of falls off around here, yeah. Okay, we're gonna build a pretty big warehouse for grain. Maybe even bigger than that, we'll see. Because grain keeps a long time. It's basically, grain is like future food. The other food resources that we've been harvesting kind of have a bit of a shelf life, so... or don't have much of a shelf life, rather. This looks probably about perfect. Something like that. They're going to cut down all that wood, which will give us some more wood supply. Okay. And in this warehouse, we're going to store just grain. If I can find out. Okay. So we'll get rid of the grain storage here. And put any remaining grain over here. Now the next thing we're going to want to do up by our sort of wood harvesting area up here where we have our carpenter is we're going to want to create, I think, a charcoaler. I don't know if we require, yeah, that requires clay. Okay, so we are going to have to go and mine the clay. It's unfortunate that we're not a little bit closer to the clay. Probably should have started a little bit closer to the clay because we're a little bit far away here. But I guess it's not a big deal. We could trade for some clay, but I'd rather just get a supply of it going, to be honest. Clay also, like, yeah, clay only degrades at a, well, degrades at a 5% rate. All the finished goods decay slower than the raw goods. I guess it's sort of a gameplay design. Okay, we don't need very much clay, so I think we're just going to have to make a separate little village here. well, and a hearth, and a house, and a warehouse for the clay. We don't need a particularly big one. Later on, we will need a lot of clay, but right now we really just need kind of a sort of subsistence amount of it. Okay, 10 workers. And put a tiny little storage. That'll do. Now that is probably, it's unreachable. We need to build a little bridge across this here. Just do remove water. Okay, where have I got everyone working? Oh, I don't have anyone working in carpentry. Ah, they're all in the warehouse. Take them out of the warehouse. There we go. Did I get all this wood from down here stored? No, not so much. Okay, let's get the wood stored. So that it's not just lying on the ground. We've actually maxed out our wood capacity here. Okay. That looks about right. And we're gonna max out that carpenter, and everyone else is gonna work on kind of building this separate village here so we can get that clay going. We're still sitting on a fair amount of food because of those mushrooms. In fact, I guess there's no real disadvantage to having them forage the mushrooms as they become available. But we're working on getting a more kind of permanent food supply going. Really good idea when you're building like an outpost like this to get the hearth and the well done right away. We're also going to need another janitor over here, unfortunately. Not the end of the world, but a little clay island here. We do have spare housing, so maybe I'll go up to 40 people. We're about to get our first harvest of grain. Not overly concerned about baking bread quite yet, because we do have just so much food stored, but we will be working on getting a bakery going. I want to get the charcoaler first, because I'm going to use coal to fire the bakery, because once again, coal, we're able to store coal a lot longer than we're able to store wood. So we're going to get a whole production chain going here. We need more stone. That's what's holding us up. Okay. So this is just going to store clay for now. Now, these folks here are a little bit far from our food sources. So we're going to want to transport some food to them. I think I'm just going to put a hauler, and they're going to haul a small amount. We're just going to lock this down here. They are going to haul a small amount of mushrooms from our little warehouse in the central district there. And I'm just going to make one worker do that kind of full time. So part of our food will get transported over to this little village here, and they can just eat the mushrooms there. Eventually, I'll build them a proper market and distribute the food properly. But for now, we just need to accumulate a little bit of clay, and we need to get a very small charcoaler going. Probably... That's probably way more than enough. Actually, this is pretty expensive. Let's, I mean, it's not expensive, it's just a lot of resources, so I'm going to see if I can actually reduce, kind of build the minimum size one. Because we're not going to need that much charcoal to run like a small bakery. Yeah, let's just go with this really minimally sized one for now. And we're going to put some... I'm going to reduce this and put some coal storage there. Okay, so keep turning that wood into furniture. And we're going to actually temporarily max out this clay mine just to get that. We need like 32 clay or something. 31. Okay, that's built. And we're just going to lower this down. We really don't need a lot of clay right now. Not yet, anyway. Yeah, one clay miner is more than enough for the time being. And we've got 2 people making charcoal, which is going to be an enormous amount of charcoal. We're probably going to need to upgrade this warehouse. Yeah, we're probably going to need to upgrade this warehouse sooner rather than later, and we may even need to make a bigger warehouse here. The idea here is we want to, as quickly as possible, be turning the wood into furniture and coal, both of which, like, coal degrades at minus 0.5% per year, furniture degrades at minus 1% per year, and that's like 5 times, we're going to lose 5 times less stuff by turning the wood into those 2 things. In terms of the clay, we could also get a small potter going even. Question is, I guess I could build a little potter over here. What do potteries use again? Let me just double check. I don't know if they need any kind of fuel or anything. I feel like they should, but they don't. Yeah, they just turn clay into pottery. They don't even need any... Okay. So... let's put a little pottery just over here on this side of the river. For the main reason that holding a lot of excess clay, once again, is just kind of wasting resources, so... 5 potters is probably fine. Tiny little buildings for now, just to get a little bit of every industry going. And I believe, is the pottery necessary for rations? Also, did I leave this job up here? Yes, I did. Oh, there's more. Wow, there's more herbs on the ground there. That's great. Okay, so we need to... We're going to start to kind of specialize out these warehouses here. Yeah. This little section here is going to be sort of a ration making district. We're going to turn meat and... look at our ration maker here. The ration maker has a bunch of different recipes. We can turn meats and herbs into rations a week. There's no mushroom rations. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. So we're mainly going to be turning meat and herbs into rations then. So we're going to put a little ration maker maybe over here. Again, just trying to make our whole society as food resilient as possible. Something like that. I have not been very design focused up until this point. I'm a little bit tempted to kind of consolidate this settlement and move some of this stuff over to here so that it makes a bit more sense, but we're gonna need 2 little villages anyway eventually. We do need another house for the potters. There. And maybe we build a house over here as well. Are we gonna get... Oh yeah, there's still wild animals here. I guess it's not the end of the world. Just hoping that nobody gets mauled. Okay, so we are producing rations. We need to produce rations from meat. We don't really have very much meat, so we're gonna try and... Interesting. We should actually have a surplus of meat. Looks like it's all getting turned into... Looks like it's all getting turned into rations. Just gonna kind of tune this down and figure out what our production rate is here. Okay, the rest of the meat is getting eaten. I'm going to actually prevent them from eating meat because I really do want it going to the ration maker. That should prevent them. Yep, okay. And we want to just kind of match the size of the ration maker to our production of meat from that pasture. Is this pasture full? It has 20 adult animals. Okay, yeah, so it is full. Yeah, okay, so we're actually, there we go. We're slightly overproducing the rations. And we're getting 11.76 rations per day. Something like 10 per day. So that's going to start filling up our warehouse here with rations. Oh, we're out of space for carpentry. And coal. We're going to do that for now, but we're probably going to have to upgrade that warehouse. And we also have... It's not a bad time to be building a bakery. It really would have been smarter to build these 3 buildings, like, over here. I think we're going to do that. I think we're going to move this. Before we get into, like, upgrading warehouses and stuff. Yeah, let's just copy this. Rotate it. And move it over here. Oh, maybe not there. That's on top of the... We don't really need that, do we? It's not a bad idea to keep it. Maybe like down here further. Yeah, that's going to be better because the bakery should be close to the grain and the coal is going to be over here. So let's have them build it there. In fact, I'm just going to delete this right away. And they'll build this and then move all the materials over here. We're going to lose a little bit of materials in the process, but it's not the end of the world. The important thing is that we build something that's... Oh yeah, we needed more clay. Shit. Okay. We're not storing any of this pottery, so... There's like a ton of pottery that's just sitting on the floor here. Let's do that. Fill this up with all the wood that's all on the floor. Did we pick up everything from up here? Yeah, we did. Okay, good. And we had some extra wood that was lying around over here, I think. But it's definitely time to get a bakery going. You may run out of food. Okay, what time of year is it? Okay. We have to do a little bit of an emergency bakery here because I was kind of moving a little slow on this stuff. That's okay. We'll get this, they can use the wood for the bakery for now. Let's put a bakery over here as well. I'd like to avoid, if at all possible, going over that cotton until we've actually harvested the cotton. Okay, let's get a small bakery. It really does not need to be very big. Yet. We'll have huge bakeries later, but for now, I think 10 bakers is going to be probably even overkill. Put a fairly large storage in as kind of a buffer. Okay, the charcoalers are back at work. We need more stone. I just don't want them to starve. But we have a huge amount of grain stored up here. So I'm gonna actually just fill this bakery with workers. We're gonna switch it over to using coal because we've already accumulated a bunch of coal. So we have coal is more efficient and it is less of a problem in terms of degrading. We are going to need a warehouse for the bread, but I don't really want to be keeping a lot of bread around. I really mostly just want to have a little bit of a... Yeah, in fact, we're going to try and not produce pretty much any excess bread. We just want to produce basically the day's bread because it goes bad quite quickly. So I'm thinking what we do is we build a food stall. That's probably fine. Okay. Now we can see we're actually producing 59 bread per day, but we only need 35 food. Oh no, it's counting the rations, I guess. I think we need 25. Let's go down to like 5 bakers. You get a bonus to your happiness from having a lot of food stored, but rations count as food stored. So we're going to tell people not to eat the rations. They will eat them if they're starving, but we're going to tell people not to eat the rations. The idea here is they're going to eat their daily food is going to be their bread, and you know, any mushrooms that they happen to pick. So yeah, in fact, we can probably start moving the mushrooms maybe to this bread warehouse here. I didn't build the bread warehouse. Oh no, the mushrooms can just get put into there. I think that's fine. Maybe I'll put a little bit of let's put a tiny little warehouse back here. That's just going to be kind of a temporary storage for food if there's any excess. I like to have a lot of different warehouses. just easier to manage the workers and such. But I don't want to accumulate either bread or mushrooms because they both degrade relatively quickly. I don't know why the consumption rate says 34.74 here and then it says 25. I think 25 is correct. I think they're consuming excess stuff or something. I'm not sure, but we should have more than enough food being produced right now. Yeah, we're getting... Interesting. Why are they not... What are they eating? They're not eating meat. Oh, they're eating the mushrooms and the bread. They're splitting their consumption between mushrooms and bread. That makes sense. Okay, so we're going to go down to like 3 bakers, I think. And we're just going to accumulate grain. Maybe we'll start farming the herbs. They don't have a particularly good storage rate, though, but... No, I mean, we'll just keep harvesting them for now. I don't think it's worth farming the herbs. What we're going to need is more ration storage. Rations decay at minus 2.5. Okay, so let's build a ration warehouse down here. Start, like, naming these warehouses. It's going to be kind of hard to... Yeah, we'll build a fairly large rations warehouse. I'm going a little bit overkill on the sort of food diversification and everything here, but... I want to make this city, like, siege-proof. There's a big warehouse just for rations. Now, as we specialize these warehouses, I'm going to remove the rations from here. Looks like we need a little bit more stone. Can we do with only one of these? Kind of ideally not, to be honest, but... we shall see. We shall see. I'm not going to worry too much about it. 2 janitors is fine for now. We have opened up trade, so we can start... Okay, we're accumulating pottery as well. We could actually start producing drinks if we wanted to. Probably not necessary. And that pottery's not going anywhere. The pottery decays at minus 2.5. Drinks decay at minus 10. The wine, the Shetta here, actually decays at minus 5. Do humans like it? I'm not sure that they do. Yeah, they do. It's the... I think... Drink servings. Does it even tell us which ones they like? I don't think it does. Let me see here. Food power, drink power. Okay, humans like both. They like to have both. So if we're going to make drinks, though, we should probably make Shetta from fruit because it's lasts longer. Or we just use grain and make... Yeah, maybe we make... what's the other one called? Piva. Maybe we just make Piva and we just sort of do the same thing as we're doing with the bakery, which is just produce as much as we need. We have enough coal. We also need to get a woodcutter going. We need to be... We are consuming... Oh, our carpenter's not working. Okay, let's turn the carpenter on. Let's get some more people here. Kind of adjust the number of bakers we have. Yeah, that's about perfect. We can get a brewery going. I don't usually build breweries early game, but this is kind of cool. We're sort of trying to min-max all of our resources here. We're going to change the recipe and use grain because we've got lots of grain. And I'm not sure how much they're going to consume of this. Probably all of it, but... do I have... Oh yeah, I could store... I guess the excess drinks can also be stored in this little warehouse here. And we should probably make another market. I think that... Are the drinks distributed at the market? No, the drinks are distributed out of warehouses, so... Yeah, okay. So let's just take a look here. Yeah, they're consuming all the drinks. We go up to 2 brewers. We're also going to need to bring our pottery over to here. So let's get a little hauler. Put a door back here. To start thinking about the next sort of steps of our little economic development here soon, but so far we're just kind of vibing. All right, haul it from the warehouse, and I only need one of you doing that for now. Don't want to be wasting workforce on that. Is that pottery being stored all the way over here? Oh yeah, there's way too many clay diggers. Excuse me. And we don't have any potters right now. That's what's going on there. I feel like this is like not a very efficient setup in terms of where the warehouse is, but something out of the world. They're close enough. They're close enough. This also should possibly be... no. Remove. Yeah, there's lots of bread there. We're going to start hauling some bread over here for these people to eat instead of the mushrooms, which are kind of an unreliable food source. I'm going to set this hauler to grab from the ground as well, so that they'll potentially pick up the pottery as it gets made here. Yeah, we way overmined all that clay. Give me... There we go. There we go. Now we have things are starting to sort of normalize here. Okay, the breweries are not using that much pottery. How much clay are we producing and how much are we consuming? I think we can probably produce a little bit more. I think we need to go maybe double the number of brewers. That looks like it's about as many as we need. What's our pottery supply looking like? Basically, we're just producing just enough. Okay, and our coal supply. Okay, we are starting. Oh yeah, we're out of wood. Okay, that's why. Now we have a fair amount of furniture accumulated. So what we can do is we can get a large woodcutter going. Yeah, that's what we need to do. I think we're going to need like 20 or 30 woodcutters sooner rather than later. All of this is perfect land for woodcutting, so let's put a big woodcutter back here. And reasonable size storage. Something like that. Just kind of expand this until it hits its efficiency. That's about perfect. 28 workers. We're not going to be putting that many in right away, but oh, we need more stone big time. Okay. We got to get this going fast because if we run out of coal, then we're not able to process our grain anymore. We're also going to need a second grain farm. Okay. How much wood is that? Okay, there we go. That's probably more wood than we need. We will tone that down in a second. In fact, I'm going to go down to maybe 6 woodcutters for now and get to work on a second grain farm. Oh yeah, we've kind of built over some of the fertile land here, which is... that's not going to work in the long term. Let's double our grain food production. Or grain food production. Our grain farming efforts. I'm going to need to move some things around. It's getting a little cramped already. That's okay, though. We'll get there. Part of the reason I'm building with mud and not with one of the more permanent building materials is it's just like... I tend to sort of like tear these cities down and rebuild them. Like once I've sort of got the basic blueprint of what I need, like some resources we can move, right? Like there's limited areas where we can farm successfully. There's like only a few places where we can harvest things like clay. So it's kind of looking like it's going to make more sense for us to like shift everything over to kind of this area. I was thinking of building in this area, but I think we're actually going to end up more like over here. But that's okay. We can sort of survive with this sort of slight strain on the logistics for a bit here. Do I have more housing? I need more housing. And yeah, definitely a little bit short on the grain this year. But the harvest is now, so yeah, we'll be able to hold over until the next for the next season, I think. We may run out of grain. We'll see. We've got some mushrooms left. Okay. Yeah, we've got a huge so there's like the basic gist of all of this is like there's certain resources that we don't really want to have in excess because they degrade really quickly, but things like stone and grain we can just accumulate as much as we want. We need more people, and I'm gonna need to kind of rethink our housing situation here. We need to put everyone into this woodcutter. We've actually got 20 days of food, but most of that is rations. Now, people don't like eating rations, so you're kind of trying to match your food supply to their actual consumption. Just have a slight excess. We need more housing, more people. How many workers are in this little neck of the woods here? 4, 6, 18. Something like 25 in this block here. About 30. And then another 5 over there. Let's put a little, let's just see here, noise. Okay, let's do this and this. And we're gonna take another 10 workers in. And we've unlocked the laboratory because we hit one of the population thresholds. I'm not too concerned about building a laboratory right now. Oh yeah, we've got an excess of wood. Okay, so charcoal is using 3, carpenters are using 23. So yeah, overall, our overall demand is something like 32 or something. So we can probably go down to maybe 12 woodcutters. We'll just kind of tune this. Extra pottery. That's probably fine. 10 woodcutters. I don't mind having a little bit of excess wood because it is useful for construction. We just don't really want to be wasting the labor on stuff that's gonna rot. So, okay, we have a fair amount of excess grain, tons of excess coal. Only have 2 charcoalers and they're producing a mountain of coal. Okay, we are actually short on the clay. Are we? Or did we just shut it off? No, we're not short on clay. Yes, we are. We need 1 more clay miner, I think. There we go. Okay, this is all looking pretty efficient. We've sort of microed all of this production stuff. The next thing that we're probably going to want for our people's sort of health and well-being is maybe some clothing, because they're all walking around naked. And that's not, that does not protect them very well from the cold. I think we move the woodcutter over here. And put sort of the industry at the edge over here, maybe. Because we're going to need to build over all this eventually, but let's not do it right now. So the best way to do clothing, I mean, really the only way we can do clothing right now is to do cotton. What's the... So cotton has degraded minus 2.5. Cloth minus 2.5. Yeah, so there's no... We can make as much cloth as we want. It's the clothing that degrades, I think. Minus 5, it's not that bad. And we kind of do need to accumulate clothing over time because it ends up being military supplies, so we don't really have much of a choice in the matter. But for now, because we're trying to be very labor efficient and produce as wide a variety of resources as possible, we can start thinking about putting a little cotton farm over here. It's not quite as efficient as the... We're kind of used up this little patch of good farming land here, but this is okay. We will survive. Slightly suboptimal yields on the cotton. Are there any onks in the neighborhood? Oh, they're over here. By the time I get a bridge built to go collect them, I'll have already harvested the cotton patch that's here, so we'll just wait until the summer, and in the meantime, we can do... We're gonna need a warehouse for the cotton. This is what happens in this game, is no matter how... You have to be really, like, organized about where you build things, or you end up with a sort of really cluttered city really quickly. And we're kind of getting to the clutter point already. But it is what it is. I don't really want to agonize over every aspect of it. We can do kind of various waves of redesign at various points where we move things around. It's fairly easy to, like, copy-paste things. I'm going a little overkill on the number and size of warehouses that I have, too, but trying to kind of scale everything correctly here. I can move this housing back. Give myself a little bit more space. That's probably the easiest thing to do right now. Okay, we should have gotten enough cotton for that to get that farm going. Delete that housing, and we're going to put... We're probably going to want a fairly large... weaver. There's not really any reason to keep excess cotton around. The cloth keeps as long as the cotton. So I think we can go pretty heavy on the weaving. And we're going to want to tailor. To turn the cloth into clothes. At this point, I can build over that cotton. We do not need a particularly big tailor. Just a little guy will be fine. Got a little bit of a manufacturing row over here. Oh, fuck. Bring the storage back. Boom. I'm going to switch this recipe. Actually, we will burn through whatever leather we have left over. And we're going to switch over to using cloth. We're going to need somewhere to store. Actually, I'll just store it back here. And we are going to make a marketplace. Or kind of add on these stalls for to distribute out the clothing. It's going to remove everything from here except for the actual clothes for now, because we're not going to be distributing out the other goods. Yeah, with one tailor, we're making more than enough. We're making more than enough clothes for the whole village. We could, of course, start... At this point, we can start thinking about scaling up industries to sell the excess and start thinking about making a profit. I'm also going to build a large well here and a much larger hearth. And I think there's some excess buildings over here that we can probably delete at this point. Like, I think we're going to kind of start to consolidate our settlement more over towards where the clay is. I should have thought of that to begin with. In fact, I think my next city I will probably look for a location where the clay is central, because generally speaking, you can do a lot of farming and you can harvest wood and you can do a lot of that stuff kind of anywhere on the map, but the mineral resources are kind of the determining factor of where the sort of heart of your city is in the start of the game. Unless you're going to import them. They tend to be a pretty strong determining factor as to where you need to build your city. And access to this clay, which is sort of off to the side in a sort of annoying way. Let's do a thing here to kind of facilitate moving around in the city. I'm just going to clear... I'm going to make a little kind of footbridge diagonally across there so that they're not having to walk all the way over here. Yeah, that's better. And maybe we even start doing a road to connect the two parts of the settlement. We got our sort of public square up here. Why don't we, instead of doing this, you don't want to build huge wide avenues at the start of the game because they require a lot of maintenance. I think this housing was better where it was before, but we'll see. Let's do something like this. I kind of wish this gate was on this side of the whole settlement is going to be kind of reoriented. Yeah, I'm gonna shift this around. How much? Oh yeah, we've got lots of livestock. I don't really want to nuke my meat supply though. Let's just do it. We're just gonna go refurnish room. We're just gonna move the gate. Unfortunately, this means that the, yeah, we'll move the gate there. Perfect. We can delete this. We can delete this. Everything you build in this game requires maintenance. So when your city starts to sprawl out, it starts to strain your logistics. It starts to move everything around. And you do kind of want to be periodically sort of reassessing where things are and how far they are from one another. You know, where the doors are in the buildings. So this warehouse here, I'm going to copy it and move it over here so that it's sort of right near where the industry it's associated with is. There we go. And then we're going to delete this one. Okay, now the janitor is kind of on the edge of town. So you can see that these janitor jobs are actually not getting done over here. So we're going to move this janitor down to maybe this area. And we can delete this one. And then all that's left up here are 3 units of housing. So I'm thinking actually what makes sense, this is going to be a little bit disruptive to our citizens here, but we're going to delete all these houses and reorient them north-south. There's going to be a few homeless people for a second here, and we're going to actually do something like... Make it a little bit shorter here. Let's go with like 30, 60, 90, 120 houses. Now we've kind of consolidated everything around this big public square here. The only thing that's kind of off to the side is this sort of pottery industry, which is, it is what it is. We're probably going to spread the city out more in the other direction anyway. Okay, so that's done. So now we can delete this. We can delete this. Where's the stone mine at? Down here. Yeah, we're going to be building a lot in this corner for now. Oh, there's ore up here. We could start getting a metal industry going. Got to think about what's next for this town. Okay, we don't have any risk of raiders yet. I think the risk of raiders starts at 200 population, and we are at 80 right now, so we don't really have to worry about raiders for the time being. We are out of storage for coal. And we're running out of storage for furniture. So, well, actually, before I start upgrading things, I'm going to just do something like this. But I will have to upgrade that some of these warehouses at some point. Let's take a look at, let's do a little bit of audit of all of our warehouses. This is a pasture warehouse. Pasture output, basically. And it's got some stone and other shit in it right now, but this is just rations, which is sort of like our emergency food supply. And then here's our granary. All right. What other ones have I got here? There's 4 more warehouses. This one here is like wood, coal, and furniture. It's basically our carpentry or wood forestry warehouse. That's what we'll call it. Okay. We have a couple of other warehouses. This is like temporary food storage, or it's actually just temporary storage for like consumable goods. It's like our market warehouse, basically. Okay. And what else is there? There's at least 2 more. Oh yeah, we have what do we call this? Weaver's warehouse. I'm not naming these for aesthetic reasons. I mean, I sort of am, but I'm also, and this is the pottery warehouse, because it's a lot easier to navigate when you start sending haulers and stuff to various warehouses. It sort of becomes a lot easier to navigate if you give things names. It can become confusing very quickly. Now we got a little mushroom patch right on the edge of town there. That's perfect. Okay. So, do we have a grain shortage? No, we don't. Oh yeah, there's bread and mushrooms in the market. There's clothing in the market. So I think at this point, we probably want to start thinking about, I mean, our people are pretty happy. But we might want to start thinking about things like entertainment, potentially expanding certain industries, getting a metal smelter going, getting an ore mine going. We're actually pretty close to the ore. And if we get metal going, we can actually get... We can think about what kind of, like, weapons industry that we want to get going from the start, because at 200 population, we're going to need to start defending ourselves. What is this? This is like this new thing here. The amount of odd jobbers you have is currently not a problem. Okay. Some rooms have problems with workload. Okay. Click to activate this warning. Okay. Interesting. Some of your goods are stored yeah, these are like tips that are, I guess, meant for like new players. Yeah, so it's warning us because like we've got a lot of herbs that we're not actually using. We should probably sell... We could sell excess herbs, but we don't really need to worry about that. We've been very efficient with almost all of our goods. We are losing some stuff to decay. So if we get... Yeah, we can do... I think we maybe start a metal workshop. And then we'll have a little kind of one of everything, to be honest. Yeah, then we can start like doing entertainment and shrines and stuff. Let's do the metal workshop. So we want to make a little, maybe a little tunnel here. Get an iron, I gotta get a mine going. Just get like 10 ore miners going for now. And similar to coal, ore is not really have... Oh yeah, our coal is not that far either. Where's our coal being stored? Down here. Okay, so let's put the smelter like here. So ore can be stored like forever. So we'll build a relatively large warehouse for the ore. Is that in range of our dude here? Yeah, okay. Let's go up to 90 dudes. Kind of an overkill ore storage, but it's fine. We need more stone. Actually, why don't we store the stone up here too? This is a little bit overkill for just ore. Just do that for now. Because there's actually a lot of stone that we're going to be digging up from the mountain and stuff, so we can kind of get a little bit of a stockpile of stone going. Yeah. And maybe we can get a mason up here or something at some point. Although probably we got to put the mason by the stone, by actual permanent stone source, not just the field stone. I think we've got a shortage of bread here. 2 more bakers. Did I actually put those bakers in? Yeah, I did. Okay, good. Yeah, we got tons of bread. Yeah, we're getting pretty good efficiency. It becomes very tempting to build like to build like massive bakers and like produce huge amounts of food, but you really do want to be paying attention to the you do want to be paying attention to the decay rate, because 50% decay per year is like you really are you're wasting like half of your workforce if you start producing things at that rate, which is not ideal. Like most of the stuff that we're storing here, with the possible exception, yeah, no, everything we're storing here except maybe the livestock doesn't really decay very quickly. Except for bread, so we just don't want to overproduce bread. Could get some more brewers going too. Seems like they consume roughly the same amount of drink as they do bread. Yeah. Roughly. I have a feeling we're going to be short on grain. Yeah. We need another grain farm. Is there enough housing over here for the... Yeah, there is. Okay, that's fine. We've got lots of housing over here as well. We don't have anywhere to store the metal. What's the decay rate on the metal? Minus 2.5. Okay. I think we just go down to 1 smelter for now. And we store the metal here for now. This is a weird event. A weird event. It's a weird political ideology is spread among your most educated subjects. Democracy. It seems to offer no advantages compared to despotism that you can see, but your citizens seem to think it has merit. While the movement is in its infancy, it would not take much to focus it on the other, more deserving despots. But doing so will harm relations with them. Alternatively, their intellectual leader, Lord Almighty Blackwidge, could be removed, which should resolve the situation. So we can disappear the leader of the democratic people. We can focus them outward, or we can ignore them. Let's just ignore them. What does that do? It makes them less loyal, but... Yeah, some of these events are... I feel like the developer created an event system a few patches ago and put in a few placeholder events, and they are not necessarily always like super well thought out. Okay, we are sitting on we are actually wasting a lot of wood. Well, I say wasting a lot of wood, we're wasting 1 wood. Okay. That's probably fine. I guess we could produce more furniture, or we could do something else with it. We'll see. Probably we're going to make weapons. We need more bread. We need more farms. That's the big thing. So some stuff has to move. There's too much stuff down here, and this is where the fertile land is. Yeah, like all this stuff is covering up the fertile land. That's really stupid. Really should not have built all this stuff here. Like, I think all this is going to have to be grain farms. Well, the wood's coming from down here. The smart thing would be to move the industry kind of up in this area. Or even, like, I'm just looking at where the source of our goods is. It seems like we have a farm over here. We have a ore mine over here. We have a clay mine here. Like, it seems like the natural spot to put the industry is going to be kind of right in the middle here. Do I need vegetables for anything? I don't think we do. Yeah, we don't need vegetables for anything. In real life, you should eat your vegetables, but in Songs of Six, human beings don't need them. Okay. All right. Well, let's maybe start the process of kind of rationalizing this industrial build here. We need the large warehouse for the furniture and the coal. And we're going to need to upgrade that. I'm going to kind of redesign these a little bit before I move them. Okay, this one's going to get upgraded. It's a little bit wasteful to do it this way, but it's going to keep me sane. This is going to be our highest capacity warehouse because furniture is used to upgrade other warehouses, so it's kind of the first warehouse you want to upgrade. Maybe this warehouse goes over here. This warehouse contains the coal. So no, the coal, I think this warehouse should go up here. This is one of those situations where I'm like I'm microing more than I need to, but I can't help it, so we're gonna do this. I think this warehouse should go in between, because the coal is being used for the metal and for the bakery. And we're getting the coal from wherever we want. So we're going to put this warehouse up here. And then we're going to put the bakery. The bakery is drawing its... Okay, so this granary is probably going to get moved somewhere up here. Yeah, we need to move the granary too. The wood, okay, wood into coal into there. So let's do that first. The charcoaler can go right beside the wood guy here, or like there. It's better to spread things out than put them in these big blobs. It becomes a bit of a disorganized mess. Okay, let's start by doing that. I'm going to start once again clearing out rooms one by one and replacing them. Turn off. Do I have excess? Yeah, I got tons of excess clay. Okay, we're good. I think we're low on bread, maybe? Yikes. Why are we low on bread? No, we just need more bakers. Okay. Okay, this is all getting filled up again. Okay, now the bakery. The carpenter can also go down here near the wood. Maybe like here. We're gonna need bigger carpenters later, but for now it can just go here. And I'm gonna delete this one. Of course, I just named all those warehouses and I'll need to rename them, but that's not a big deal. Oops. Okay. All right. Now... the metal smelter is going to go between where we're storing the... Oh my god, we got so much stuff stored in this. Between where we're storing the ore and where we're storing the coal, because those are its two inputs. And we can actually just delete this one. What's that? That's a tailor. Okay, well, leave the tailor there for now. That's going to get moved around too. but not yet. It's usually better to spread things out a little bit. It's a balance. Okay, we're good. Where am I storing the okay, so the metal is actually going to get stored in here. Just do this, give me a little bit of room for metal. And then the tailor, all this stuff needs to go as well. I think there's another, I think we should just move the whole textile industry to like another area. It needs its own area. I don't want to be harvesting the grain and the cotton in the same place. So okay, there's some, yeah, that's not really useful. There's an island down here, but that's a little far. Is it? No, it's closer than this. Okay, maybe we have Cotton Island. It's not even really an island. It's sort of, well, I guess it is an island in the river, yeah. Oh, there's an interesting idea. Maybe the grain gets put down here and the cotton stays here. Oh, no, I don't love that. This is the one thing about how they've designed the maps in this game. Like, there's these patches of high fertility soil, but they're kind of randomly distributed across the map. So it becomes a little bit of a challenge to co-locate everything in one area, and almost becomes a little bit more tempting to sort of sprawl out and be like, okay, this is sort of my designated textile farm area. This is my designated, like, yeah, like it's almost at this point worth making like a separate village for the textiles. The textiles don't really interact with the pottery or anything. They're kind of their own closed loop. So I think it's better if we move the textiles sort of off to their own corner. Let's take a cotton farm and put it like over here, and it's just going to have to be... or maybe we just don't care about... Maybe we don't care if it's not that productive. Let's leave it for now. Let's leave it for now. Okay. I'm just going to shift this stuff down here. Yeah, that's probably fine. Now, the brewery wants to be close to the coal, as does the bakery. So, right. Brewery, bakery. And I'm not going to delete the old ones until the new ones are built, because our people are kind of... Oh, no, we have some excess. Yeah, we have some excess. Okay, we can do that. Just delete them. Boom. Boom. That's fine. They'll get built faster. We have a little bit of excess. We also have mountains of cotton, apparently. We're going to have to start trading soon. Start getting rid of some of these excess goods. Just make sure these are using the right production method. Or recipe, as it's called in this game. I've been playing a lot of U5, so I keep thinking it's production method, but very similar in a lot of ways. Okay. Yep, everybody's using the right recipe. We need more weavers. We need more of everybody. Okay. Right. This warehouse gets deleted because it's already got its... I'm gonna get rid of this. We do need a hauler for the... We do need a hauler for the pottery, though. And this... Yeah, we need a hauler for the pottery. Beside the brewer. You don't really need to co-locate everything like I'm doing if you just aggressively use haulers, but it does... It gets messy, and it also potentially... Okay, we are really maxed out on a lot of storage here. Can you make sure we've filled up? Okay, we've got all the coal. I just do like this, like that. And we're like producing too much wood, I think. No, we're not. No, we're fine. Okay. There we go. Okay. Pottery is getting moved over there. Make sure that's not automatic. And maybe the market gets moved up here. Because we're going to need all this land for farming. Oh, the moisture's not great up here. It's really better by the river. We might want to do a little bit of irrigation. Yeah. Okay. Okay, the weaver we're going to slide in here. And we were like way overproducing cotton, but it is what it is. I'll start some exports soon. I'm more interested in sort of balancing things than making sure everything's perfect. There's just so much extra wood from all these buildings we've demolished. We can probably just shut this woodcutter off for now and just try and burn through the wood that's sort of accumulated on the ground. Okay. Yep. And we can also burn through all of our excess. We've got a ton of clothing. We got all sorts of stuff. Okay, how many bakers do I have? All right, we can support more population, basically, is the gist. And I think, was I saying that we were... Yeah, we're short on grain. Right, the grain warehouse also, is it built on... No, it's not built on good soil, but it could get moved over here. I think it's better to just move it over here. Yeah. I'm gonna get all that grain in there. Yeah, we definitely need another grain farm. Okay. And we need some, we have metal too. Great. Okay, so we can do a water pump. I think that wants to be like that. And a canal, and kind of canal out from here. We'll build a canal across there and then start farming. This guy can actually be moved north. Maybe like up here for now. And we can upgrade this pump because we have metal, right? Is it metal to upgrade it? Yeah, it's metal. Okay, great. So that means we need less workers to pump the water. Probably not even worth a pump for this small a farming area, but we'll see. It does in the long run help with efficiency. Okay, that's our mushroom patch. We don't really want to build on that for now because it is a little bit of helpful spillover food. This is drawing from the bakery. The food stall here for now. And the market can go like here. That's a little bit jammed. Taylor is kind of not in a good spot, but we'll move it after. Put it down here for now. Is up here for now. And this is like our sort of excess warehouse here. Yeah. Let's leave it there for now. For now. We're gonna go heavy on the grain. Yeah. Really try and make use of that. This is starting to make a lot more sense. We need more dudes. Which means we're gonna need more housing as well. I kind of feel like, I wonder if it's like easier to haul the clay or is it easier to haul the pottery? Can't remember how that works. Because we could almost like just have this little clay mine in the corner and then haul the clay and just do the pottery right beside where the brewery is. Anyway, I'm probably spending too much time micromanaging the placement of things. What we want to think about right now is I think we want to research weaponry. Yeah, let's do the happiness stuff and then we'll do we're gonna do shrines to Aetheri and Krator. Because humans tend to gravitate towards those two religions. We're gonna do the speaker. We can do a lavatory, that's good for health. Okay. Gonna stick a mass grave down just in case we have some untimely deaths. And I think it's time to start thinking about science. We could do some decorations and stuff too. I'm a little bit reluctant to do decorations because I feel like we're going to probably be moving a lot of this stuff around again. Like right now, all of our industries are very compact and we're not producing very much of anything. What is going on? We have so much wood. I'm not even actually harvesting any wood. I'm just using up wood from, oh, it's from all this clearing of land and stuff. And deleting of buildings and... Yeah, we sort of have all the industries. Maybe we start working on the military stuff. Tons of fabric. I think we're just going to store huge amounts of fabric because... and then turn it into clothing as we need it. I think that's what makes sense. Because the fabric is slightly less... decays less, yeah, that's fine. We'll keep the fabric and turn it into clothing later. Okay, we need laboratory. Get a nursery going too. We need maybe we get an orchard going so we can start a nursery after. Maybe defense first, then nursery. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah, okay, so for defense, we'll start with the stuff that we can already build now before we start researching stuff. So we're gonna want a couple carpenters. One of them is gonna do, we're gonna make the spears, which are a new weapon that came in the new version. They're a little bit more efficient to produce because we have metal. And then we'll make shields. Can the spears be matched with the shields? That's the question. I think the shields need leather? Maybe they do, I'm not sure. Oh, there's people in the forestry workhouse. Okay, alright, good. No warehouse workers. Let's get rid of those. If that makes sense. Okay. Right, I was going to check and see. We're going to go into here and sort of design our little division template here. Can we do... where's the spear? There it is. Can we do spear and shield? That's cool, yeah. Spear and shield and leather armor. Melee training. Start with just 10 dudes. We can't train them yet. We don't have access to the training ground, but we can start getting the weapons built up. So for the spears and the shields, we're going to need separate carpenters. I'm going to build a row of weapons industries up here. Another carpenter? And then a tailor. For the leather armor. Now, we actually don't have access to much leather right now, but we could go and kill a bunch of beasts for that purpose. Or we just get a pasture going properly. We need technology for that. Storage. Okay, so that's like a row of like weapons producers. Make spears. Just put like one guy in that for now. This one's gonna make shields. Oh, we do need leather for that as well. So we're gonna have a leather shortage. And we need more stone. And we're gonna make leather armor. Okay. Oh, we don't need to research anything. We can build a hunter for the leather. That's ideal. Perfect. So we're going to build the largest hunter that we can. Which is 15 hunters. That's as much as you can get in a region, I believe. I'm not sure if that's changed with this new version, though. There we go, perfect. And I feel like this kind of almost needs its own warehouse. We definitely need a warehouse for the leather, yeah. Let's put a fairly large warehouse here for all of our weaponry. We're getting kind of far from that. No, we're good. Okay, switch this over from meat to... We don't want to be producing that much meat, that's for sure. Okay, now this is getting... spear, leather, and shield, right? And spear, leather, armor, shield, and leather. Now we just want to increase all of these. Oh, we need more metal. don't know if we're going to have enough leather for all that, but we're going to find out. We just got to kind of scale this industry correctly. Looks like we're having a little bit of a food shortage. This is why I have the rations built up. Because we've got 19 days of rations if we actually aren't producing enough bread. We need more housing too. I'm just going to scale the bread and drink at the same time. I don't think it's a terrible idea. The drinks keep people happy. If we want to go on a military campaign, we can stop distributing drinks to our people and reserve them for the army. Basically, the army needs beer. What was I doing? I don't remember. Oh, I was going to build more housing. That's right. Okay. Something like this. We still need more. Another baker. Another brewer. We're gonna need more than that too. We're gonna need to double down on the bakers and the brewers. Oh, and the potters as well. And the clay mine. Okay, we need twice as many bakers and brewers. I'm just gonna put one over here and one over here. They're still relatively close to the warehouse they're feeding into. And at some point we're gonna build things on much larger scale. But I really am just going to increase these very slowly because there's no advantage to storing large amounts of bread. It just goes bad. Although we might start having grain issues again. I don't think so. Now we got tons of grain. Okay, that's looking pretty balanced. Oh my god, we're already building up a bunch of weapons. I love to see it. I think the weapons are all... yeah, they're relatively cheap to store. Okay. Well, at this point, we're going to want to scale our population up to 200, sorry, and start training ourselves a little militia. So... Maybe we do the... Maybe we start, like, birthing our own population rather than just relying on immigration. So maybe I'll do a fruit orchard. Down near the river here. Oh, wait a second. That might be a bad idea. Does fruit orchard... Do fruit orchards use the same tech as... They use their own tech, don't they? Cotton farm, fruit farm, grain farm, vegetable farm. Yeah. No, we shouldn't do orchards. We should just do basic farming. Okay. Well... I guess we do a little fruit farm over here. Fruits do not last very long, and we need them to raise children. Because baby humans in this game need fruit, but adult humans don't. So there's kind of like an inevitable waste that happens. Where can we get fruit from? Maybe we import fruit. Probably a smart idea. We'll get a small farm going, but then maybe we're going to start selling things and importing fruit. I think that might be a move. Damn it. Forage, thank you. Forage that fruit, and forage that fruit. Really should start selling things. Question is, if we sell things, we want to buy things, because we don't just want to accumulate money, it just goes to inflation. But that being said, we're just sitting on things that are rotting right now. Let's upgrade this warehouse. That'll help. Where's the bread being stored? Down here. Okay, we're producing way too much bread. What the fuck? How'd that happen? Weird. Yeah, just shut this one down for now. Okay, well, we probably should just increase our population. Let's just target 200 right away. We have the housing for it. Now we can build our training ground and a stockade. The training grounds. So now we'll see here that we have... Pretty soon we're going to start seeing... Yes, I know. Pretty soon we're going to start seeing... raiders and stuff, so... Just going to kind of beef up some of this... military production. Just max it out for now, and we'll just adopt it after. And we want to build a training grounds, kind of on the edge of town over here. Maybe we train 10 at once. A little bit more. Build a fairly small training ground for now. And we were able to do all this without even building a laboratory, which is great. We need more stone. Reasonably soon we'll need to get a stone mine going, but not yet. Okay, now we are going to add more dudes into this division. In fact, I think we can go straight up to like 50. We have the weaponry already pretty much. Or do we want to make like super... No, we need, well, I think it would be better actually to do... two groups of 20. And I'm not going to jack the training up too much yet because I want them to get trained quickly so that if we get raided, we have a little bit of a force ready to go. Oh, this can be upgraded. We need more metal. And presumably more ore. Oh, we're good for ore for now. Probably need more coal soon. Yeah, we do. Okay, a little bit more ore as well. We are still burning through accumulated wood from like years. It's crazy. Like I said earlier, though, most of the resources that we're storing right now are pretty efficient to store, with the exception of, like, bread and stuff. Not really worried too much about it. Okay. That's great. Look at this wonderful stockpile of grain. We have the bakery capacity so that if we were under siege, we would have enough coal and grain for us to survive for a couple years, probably. Plus, we could potentially use the hunters and get other sources of food as well. So I'm feeling pretty safe about the food supply, and now we're starting to train up a little militia. And I think we're going to try and get a pretty serious militia going here. A couple of little infantry squadrons. And some archers. And some cavalry. Actually, that's something we could do. We could start getting the, we could start training a cavalry. Whoa, can you do horse archers? That's wild. Maybe we just get like 10 cavalry dudes. And we give them... We can't put spears on cavalry? No. Does cavalry need swords? Is that all they can do? No, they can use... Warhammers. Warhammer on cavalry is ridiculous. I don't think we have the technology to make this right now. Let's just do that, and then... So that's our cavalry, dude, but we need to figure out... We're gonna need to research smithing before we can really do anything useful with cavalry. I guess, except giving them... I don't really want to research the makeshift weapons. I kind of want to skip ahead and not bother with that. So maybe we get a smith going and we give our cavalry like decent weapons. Oh, we don't need to research technology, of course. We get free technology from the sort of mission tree here. Okay, so we're gonna go with the smith. We're gonna go with a bowyer. We're gonna go. Do we want falcata right away? Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we become like armed to the teeth. So the starting recipe that we get here is allows us to do the double-handed sword. Maybe we don't research falcata. Maybe we just stick with the double-handed. Maybe our... Like, this sort of looks like some kind of glaive or something. Maybe that's what our cavalry use. They wear leather armor and they have like a glaive, and maybe they're just like maneuver units. They're sort of like... Yeah, okay, I like that idea. I guess we build a smith. Smith requires coal as well, but we're kind of rolling. We've got lots of coal. Yeah, we're just going to accumulate massive amounts of weaponry, man, because I've kind of like min-maxed the food situation so that we don't need a lot of labor to produce food. And it's giving us a lot of excess labor to do this kind of industrial stuff. Just build a small smithy and start getting... it's this one that we're able to do right away. Yeah, there we go. And we can give that to our cavalry. So go to the army and start giving those guys that. 10 cavalry. I don't think it's worth having... I don't think it's worth having 2 divisions of infantry. Let's disband this one and make this one a bit bigger, and then we'll have maybe one flank is going to be cavalry and one flank is going to be archers. So it'll just be like a sort of a small little force. I'm kind of like the idea of eventually turning this into a sort of a more highly trained force that is smaller than the enemy, but is sort of highly trained. Then maybe we create like a large militia. Maybe we go like, maybe we get a lot of archery going too, though. Oh, we're gonna run into leather. Okay, so other technologies we're gonna need. Well, actually, why don't we for now get the efficiency technologies for a couple levels of efficiency technology for hunters, so we can just produce leather with hunters rather than getting into auroch domestication. We've got the bowyer, we've got the smith, which means we can make tools as well. Well, we don't need tools quite yet, but we can start working on that soon. And then the other thing we're gonna need is the archery range. And I'm kind of tempted to build some walls. Yeah. You've got a ton of excess wood. Let's put it to use. We're gonna build like a wooden palisade. We want to protect everything from the... Okay, there's no bridge. We have not built any bridge onto the South Shore, so we're totally protected by the river over here. So really, realistically, what we need is like a palisade. But if we're going to do the palisade thing, we need archers, because it doesn't really make sense to build walls if you can't use archers in this game. So we're going to build that to there. And we're going to build one that goes from the mountain to there. And then we'll just clear a gap where we'll put our sort of gates or whatever. Yeah, let's get the gatehouses. We don't really need a very large gatehouse. Like, no, let's go really small. It's kind of awkward to build these gatehouses on with a diagonal wall, but I'll make it work. Something like that. And we're going to want to create sort of towers where we can put archers and stuff. That's fine for now. Okay. That gives them lots to work on. Food situation is... Whoa, what keeps happening to our food situation? Like, we're not out of... I'm just gonna look at this here. Everything looks normal, efficiency-wise. We're not out of coal. We are running out of coal, though. We're not out of grain. I'm not sure. But I don't want to burn through all our rations because I'm mismanaging the... It's weird. It's like their consumption is going up and down. Maybe I just invited a lot of people and didn't adjust. Yeah. Oh, I had built a fruit farm as well. Okay. We gotta get that, Okay, that's like a safe margin of bread. Okay, we are now producing a big excess of... Ooh, who died? Starved. Somebody starved. I'm maybe cutting it a little bit too close with the bread production. Because I'm kind of not letting them eat the rations, so... I'm going to be a little looser with the food. We don't want people starving. It's bad for business. Or they got, like, stuck in a wall somewhere. Where is this corpse? Oh. Oh, he didn't starve because of food distribution problems. He starved because I walled him into a fucking cave. Oh, man. Sorry, dude. Sorry, dude. We're burying you now. Okay, yeah. So on that note, we're not overproducing bread. We're producing just as much as they need. Yeah, perfect. Okay. How are we on coal? Did I, like, not build a big enough charcoaler again? Eh, more or less. It's the metal that's, eating up all the coal. I'm also barely producing enough metal. Oh, I've got like a million blacksmiths going here. That's fine though. Yeah, give me all the weapons. We're gonna be armed to the fucking teeth. On that note, we need cavalry, we need the horses. The palisade is coming along nicely. Yeah, I'm gonna need to add about 50 population to this city. It looks like we've kind of scared off all of the raid security. What is this? Where did we get this from? Interesting. Okay. This is all new. This stuff here was not here before. So basically, because we've got like 16 people in our garrison, nobody wants to raid the city. Yeah, nobody wants to raid the city because we're already too well defended. I've noticed this in previous versions of this game. If you're sort of overly cautious, which I tend to be, and you sort of build a big garrison, they kind of never raid you. So it's a little bit disappointing in a sense because, like, I'm building this palisade here. We probably will never use it because we'll never get raided. And as far as I know, building walls does not actually have any, like, there's nothing in the game that like dissuades them from attacking you because you've built walls. I think you should probably code something into that effect. Like, it's fine if I build walls and never use them because people are afraid to attack me because I built walls. But in this case, like, they're only calculating it based on the army size. I feel like the number of like wall tiles you put or something, like, you can do some simple calculation as like a placeholder. But I feel like it'd be more interesting if like building walls actually had an impact, because as it stands, I guess maybe in the long run they will. I'm just going to do this for like RP reasons. Plus it kind of looks cool to have this janky wall on the edge of my city. It's giving survival. Okay, see, now we're overproducing food. I don't understand why they're intermittently eating way too much. I just don't want to waste labor making food. Because I have the facilities, so if we find ourselves in like a sudden shortage, we can ramp up our bakery production. Like actually, I say that. Oh, no, look at this. We just like harvested a shit ton of grain. Let's increase the number of granary workers we have. Yeah, we are producing like a substantial excess of grain. And a substantial excess of leather, actually. I could even take some workers out of this leather. All these industries are maxed out. I just don't need this much leather because I researched the efficiency techs. Wow, that's wild. Well, I think the hunter thing is actually based on, like, there's a luck factor. Like, some seasons you get a better hunt than other seasons, so probably worth keeping an eye on this. And yeah, so there we go. We've gone down. Let me look here. Oh yeah, we're having a particularly lucky hunting season right now. So that's why. But what I should probably do is just store lots of leather. It decays at 5% per year.
I should probably keep less hunters and store lots of leather. And probably make these industries bigger. If I upscaled these industries, then I could ramp up production of weapons at a time of, like, war. Oh, we're out of wood. That's gonna shut down all of society if we're not careful. How much do we need? A lot. Actually, I think he's changed some of the recipes so you need less woodcutters. Because I feel like I would need a lot more wood in previous versions of the game than this. Garrison's up to 20. Okay. We're gonna build some more housing. I'm thinking... maybe over here.
Well, that'll help with the wood issue. Okay, I need some more people. Come on, finish the houses. People are homeless. There we go. Once again, with the really weird... I don't quite understand what's going on with that, with the bakery. It's like it produces a bunch of food and then it like has a big deficit and then like it's not seasonal. We have the grain, we have the coal. Why is the bakery going up and down? Why are they consuming more at certain times than other times? Maybe it's like a time of day thing. Maybe they eat like, I think they do eat every 2 days or something, just because of the way the simulation works. Okay, we do need a little bit more. Okay, now the other thing I was going to do is I was going to build a pasture. And get some of those war beasts going. So we'll build a similar sized pasture over here. We're producing like hella rations just from those eight this is the thing. You really don't want, if you're playing as humans, you really don't want to be using pastures to supply yourself with food. But building a pasture and using it to produce a little bit of meat is like the number of workers that we have had to allocate to produce like 2,000 rations since the start of the game is pretty negligible overall. And we're not allowing our citizens to eat the meat. We're kind of forcing them to let it be turned into like, you know, it's rations. It's like we're drying the meat instead of eating it fresh, right? That's our emergency food. That's the food that we eat if we run out of, we totally run out of, I don't know, wait a second. I hate when I do this. We don't actually want to create an impassable wall that they can't navigate around. We're going to actually spread this out in the south so that we can build a road between it. Okay, thank you. Okay. War Beast pasture incoming. I guess we can liberate, oh my god. We're gonna have, we need more wood, we need more furniture. More beast. Oh. Put the war beasts in here instead. This is just all rations. Yeah, 100% rations. Okay, I need to upgrade some warehouses. Upgrade that one for now. How are we doing on furniture? Yeah, the warehouse upgrades really eat up a lot of furniture. I don't really like to do an unnecessary amount of... The furniture starts to really become a bit of a bottleneck. Although so far so good. We have a coal shortage? No, we're good. Okay. Let's make some stuff look a little bit prettier. Just making stuff diagonal. Some of it I'll square afterwards, but... Oh, I thought that bug was fixed. Or are we just too far from our... Oh yeah, we're just too far, aren't we? Okay. This... Okay, so what we should do is we should actually space out these janitors so that they cover the whole radius here. So we're going to put one there and like one there, and then we'll delete the other two. Like this one can go right away. Oh, we're out of stone. And this middle one here can also go. There we go. Okay, now are they gonna go fix that, or is it like totally broken? I don't really want... The whole point of having a gate is that it's gotta get fixed, and it's gotta work. I have a feeling... Oh, do we need... No, you've got stone. Oh, he's just got a lot of repair jobs to do. Because we were out of stone. I gotta get a stone mine going soon-ish. Where was I storing my stone again? Let's find out. I think it was up here, no? Okay. Put some warehouse workers in here, please. Collect all that stone up. We're definitely having some resource shortages, but... Okay. Is that helping you guys? Can you repair that gate, please? Thank you. Yes. Good thing I caught that. If you fuck up your janitors, you can really just destroy your whole city. It's a bit much. I'm liking this little town. It's not very aesthetic for the time being. But I'm liking the kind of basic size and configuration of it. Now, if we go down here to get stone eventually, then we'll have to build another little palisade down here. I don't think this map was very well chosen, to be honest, because I'm realizing now, like, you really kind of want the clay, in particular, more in the middle of the map. Who knows? Who knows? The stone on the edge of the map is going to be a bitch. But it's not the end of the world. It's really not the end of the world. We can work with it. Okay, so let's take stock of the situation here. We don't have any of these dudes yet, do we? Okay, we're waiting on our war beasts here, but pretty soon we're going to start accumulating war beasts. Now this is interesting. Okay. I don't know how much this is going to produce when it's like fully staffed. Oh, whoa. We have too many spears. Man, we got a lot of spears. It's good. It's good. This means we can quickly expand our military if we need to. I'm surprised. Honestly, I think the next time I set up a city in this game, I'm going to customize, like, I want to get raided more often. I kind of want to set the raiders to aggressive. I'm going to do a little bit of research and figure out how this mechanic here works, because
Having spent a fair amount of time playing this game, I'll show you guys the world map here. If I remember how to do it. Yeah, like we're back on the world map here. Oh, weird. Is there like a fog of war? We're over here, right? Javezla. Yeah, okay. This is cool. There's like a fog of war now that we're okay. So we're like in this little like hidden valley here, just making the weapons. Armed to the teeth. Who's the weaker one? Like, I'm not a huge fan. So basically there's part of the way this game is supposed to work is you're supposed to like build armies and you're supposed to like conquer your neighbors and like draw resources from neighboring regions. And thus far, I'm going to try maybe in this game to do that. Thus far, I have not been a huge fan of the interplay between like Total War and city building. I love the city building in this game, but this whole interface here and like the battles are a lot of fun. But like conquering stuff and managing stuff on this world map is like, it's sort of like a primitive version of Total War. And I don't think it's that interesting. You know, you're like going around laying siege to cities and then you conquer them, but you can't really do any city building in those cities. They're just kind of these satellite cities that you can control, and you just build like buildings on the world map in them, and then they feed your resources. It's interesting from a sort of like economic and sort of strategic point of view, I guess, but it's not nearly as compelling as the city building experience. And I gotta say, I think what I think I would enjoy the most in this game is probably building like a pretty autonomous city, or like maybe a very small empire, and then kind of more playing like the tower defense game, you know, build a city that like can withstand, you know, can withstand sieges, build a city that can, you know, defend like a very small hinterland around it, like rather than building a huge empire or whatever. But I guess that's all, you know, it's a sandbox, right? So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that the world map dynamics are there. They don't sort of stand up to me quite as well as like this. There's a really high quality. I mean, we've barely scratched the surface. I've just been sort of building the very basic industries here, but I mean, we can get into like decorating this city, and like we can do all sorts of like amazing stuff decorating the city. So far our people are very happy, but as we start to get a larger population, and I've been growing the population very, very slowly and kind of deliberately, but you know, as you start to get a larger population, I mean, we're going to need to expand out to other areas, get some more agriculture going, do all sorts of stuff to make this economy viable. I've been really focusing on like what I've done in the past is essentially, I think one of the mistakes I've made in the past playing this game is just overproducing fresh foods that go bad, because they use up a huge amount of your labor, and you're trying to keep your food stockpiles high, but rather than stock up on like rations, which is what we're doing here, actually we're getting a pretty significant decay. Oh no, we're not. No. Three rations out of over 2,000 are decaying every day. That's nothing. So we're basically storing a bunch of rations that decay at minus 2.5% per year, and just baking as much bread as people need to eat like on a daily basis. So they're not going to starve because they can always eat the rations. They don't like eating the rations as much, so they can get unhappy if we start running low on bread. So we rather than keeping a lot of bread around, we try to keep the grain and the rations well stocked. But the bread we don't really worry about. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna call it a night. I will leave this. The VOD of this will be available, obviously, for those who weren't watching on stream. And I'm hoping to continue to play a bit of Songs of Six. I also am going to have some SimCity 4 content finally, after years of not making SimCity 4 content. I will be making that again. So thanks for hanging out, and see you next time.